If you feed rats to about 80%, guess what? They live longer. They can double their life. Instead of feeding them up to the gills, you feed them so they have a little bit of space left. And that's not space for dessert, okay? This is space left after eating everything, all right? So here she is. She's physically active. She lives in peace. She has a garden. And she takes care of the kids. She has a good family, right? So the genetics help. The epigenetics. This is something else. This is a whole new concept. Well, God knew it all along, but it's new for us, right? About things that we do that can affect our children and our children's children. It's been shown very clearly that what grandparents do when they're young affects the development of disease in their grandchildren when they grow up. Okay? I don't know if you got that. What your grandfather did when he was a teenager will affect what happens to you as you grow up, if you're a male. And if you're a female, what your mom did when she was a little kid, that makes all the difference in what's going to happen to you when you grow up, if you're still a youngster. And if you've grown up already, it has already affected you. This is the epigenetics. And of course, the lifestyle. How we live makes a difference in how we die. But now, you probably didn't know this one. In terms of how to become a centenarian, how to live to 100 years, be born first in your family. See, choose wisely when you're born. Because if you choose to be first in your family, you have a higher chance of living to 100 than if you were born anywhere, even if you're a seventh child, okay, you have the highest chance of living to 100. Any firstborns here? Okay, good. Now, the firstborns, they had something going for them and something going against them. Remember when the children of Israel were going out of Egypt? The firstborns were very careful. Dad, do what you have to do. Okay? Because if Dad didn't get that blood and put it on the doorpost, what would happen? Die. Firstborn, right? No 100 years for you. You're gone. Okay? But today we don't have that system. But if you're a firstborn, you have an advantage, a statistical advantage to living to 100. Now let's see something else. The age of your mother when you were born. The younger your mother was, within reason, when you were born, the greater the chance that you will live to 100. So, tell you what, choose your mother's age wisely. What do you think? Don't just be born anytime. Born while your mom is young. Okay? What else? This is the lifespan of somebody who, at age 30, looking at how old their parents are. The interpretation of this is, when you reach 30 years old, the older your parent is, the more likely you are to live a long life. So protect your parents, at least until you're 30. Because if your parents are living long while you're 30 years old, you have a greater chance of living a long life yourself. What else? There was a study looking at height and build relating to centenarians, living to 100 years old. Okay? Here's what they found. If you look at short people, now I have nothing against short people. If you look at medium people, I have nothing against medium people. And if you look at tall people, I have nothing against you, Pastor Weber. Okay? But if you look at this with regard to height and survival to 100, okay, you would notice that the medium height tended to have an advantage. Okay? And then if you look at body build, we have people who are slender, we have people who are medium, and we have people who are stout. Okay? How you like that word? Stout. Okay? Robust. Okay. So, you notice the percentage of cases in the, 70% of them and the controls. Now let's see what the statistics show. Which people had the greatest advantage? What do you think? Who do you think has the greatest advantage? Medium? Medium? Okay, let's see. The slender medium build versus the stout, they had the highest risk of living to 100. Slender, right? And medium build versus the stout people. Okay? So, slender, medium build, medium height. Look, they looked at married versus unmarried. Natural born in the country versus immigrants, no real difference. Tall and medium height versus short height, height didn't play that much of a difference. But if you were slender and medium build versus stout build, that made a whole difference as to whether you're going to live to 100. Now, put it this way. You do not see 100-year-old people who are fat. Just think about it. You don't. Okay, how about this one? This is looking at the season in which you were born. We have statistics from 1885 to 1899 looking at the seasonal variation of birth. Okay? This was looking at many, many people. And this is what was found. Looking at a cut point of 1885 and 1891, that is people who we have complete records for. Here's what they found. People who were born in January, people born in January, had a greater chance of living to 100. So, choose whether you're firstborn or not. Choose whether your mother is young or not. When you get to 30, choose to have parents who are still alive. What else? Choose to be slender or medium built, and choose what month you were born. If you can make those choices, you have a natural advantage. Now, I was born in May. You're a May guy too? All right. Good month, right? Good month. But I tell you what, when I look at this statistic, I see April here and May. April, May, June. Wow. We're at the bottom of the list. My wife is born in April. We live together, we die together. We have the lower risk, naturally, for living to 100. Then we look at culture. How does culture play into this? How about this? People were evaluated for life satisfaction, marital, work, and health satisfaction, pleasant emotions, joy, affection, and trust, and low negative emotions like anger and depression. And you know what that would show. I know you know what that would show. It would show that the people who have good experiences, as in the case of these nuns, there was a nun study looking at, there were these nuns that were living to 80 to 100 years old. Okay? And so there were studies to see what was going on. Here's what. The nuns' autobiographies at age 22 expressed positive emotions, and they were happy the happy and less happy nuns living the same life circumstances through a lifespan. In other words, these nuns were going through the same things together, but those who had a pleasant, happy outlook of what was going on, they lived longer. And those who were, sourpusses or whatever, they were dead. Okay? It made a difference in how long people lived. The survival rate to 85 was related to people who were the most cheerful. The most cheerful, 90% of them lived to 85, and only 34%, one-third, were in the least cheerful group. And if you look at living to 94, 54% of the most cheerful people in these nuns lived to 94, whereas only 11% of the least cheerful people did that. You know what? This too is a choice, but now this is something that we can do, isn't it right? Can you choose when you're born? No. Can you choose what month you were born? No. Can you choose really your physical constitution besides being fat or not? No, you can't change that. Your height. I mean, the Bible even talks about that. You can't put 1 centimeter to your height, not 1 millimeter to your high heels or something like that. But that's artificial, right? Your real height you can't really change, okay? But by being more cheerful, you can boost your longevity by 10 years. 10 years. And you know what? It's not just 10 years. The research doesn't say it this way. I'm going to say it this way. It's 10 happy years. Who said that? Who said that? 10 happy years. Because you happen to have chosen to be a happier person despite life circumstances. That reminds me of something that the Bible says. A merry heart does good like a medicine, but a sour face dries. No, that is what happened, right? But a broken spirit dries up the bones. Okay, a merry heart does good like a medicine. Okay. They even studied psychologists. Can you imagine that? Where is our psychologist? She's not here today. She's not here. She's no longer here? Oh, I've been here long enough. Okay. But happy psychologists live about 6 years longer. So now, let's recap on what it is we're doing. Okay? Can you choose when you're born? No. So that's kind of out the window. Can you choose your mother's age when you were born? No, that's out the window. What else? What else can we choose or not choose? You can't choose what month you were born. No, what season you're born, you don't choose that. Okay? Do you choose your height? No, you can't choose that. You can choose somewhat your weight, right? And you can choose something. And then we come to something like choosing to be happy and satisfied or not. Paul said he found a secret in all things to be content. Content. So there's something to this, right? There's something to this. There's great gain in content. Is there a text that goes something like that?
Contentment with godliness is
contentment with godliness is great gain. Then we come back to Okinawa. In Okinawa, in that study, they looked at what was happening to the folks in Loma Linda. And they showed you one of their potlucks. And you know it was a vegetarian potluck. And the guy from who was doing the study, Dan Buechner, he interviewed, and he asked, what do you think is related to this, the fact that so many people here in this little place live so long? And they started to talk about what those things were. And they said, we're pretty active. And we're more or less a happy people. And we have a purpose in life. And they said, and we have a community, it's a big family. It's called the church. And then they said, we have Sabbath. And the guy